This is the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Apparently I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. That's the name of this podcast, 40-Year-Old Boy, the 40-Year-Old Boy, if you're sending people notes to tell them to listen to it. Although, why would you do that? Who's sending notes? Yes, you're in a classroom, you're scrawling a note. Do you like me? Circle yes or no. By the way, listen to 40-Year-Old Boy. Ah, damn, the 40-Year-Old Boy. He told me this week. So that's the name of it. I was going to change the name. I was going to start charging, but unfortunately the government took the name Cash for Clunkers. So I was, unfortunately, I couldn't use that. Cash for Clunkers. I love the fact that there's somebody in the government who actually thought that up. There's a guy in charge of making a federal program sound like a goddamn George Washington Day sale. Come on. Is there a George Washington Day? President's Day. I guess it's a President's Day sale. See, maybe I should work in the federal department of figuring out names for things. I would go ahead and think of the George Washington Day, and then what we would do is we would not lie and we would cut down trees. That's a good George Washington Day, don't you think? Or eat cherry pie and fuck Betsy Ross. What is that? That's what we would do, right? That's he banged Betsy Ross, right? We can all agree on that. I covered that exclusively on another show, folks. So. If you're just joining us in the run, here's what you need to do. You need to take this show completely out of context from the others that have been recorded and review it. That's what you need to do, folks. Because that's what people like to do. People like to listen to one episode of this show and then decide that they know every fucking thing there is to know about the show. And I told myself I wasn't going to fucking talk about this, and yet for some reason it creeps in because I can't. I'm petty and small. Folks, that's it. I'm petty and small. As much as I try to rise above things like that, as much as I realize, you know what, my email runs 10 or 15 to 1 for the show, it's always the one that makes you go, okay. It's that one person that is probably right. Everybody else is wrong. Everybody who loves the show is completely wrong. I love the show. I'm wrong because that person is upset that I did. And again, people who listen to the show, and that's the thing, I guess I shouldn't bitch. I'm not fucking bitching. Again, people... The whole thing is I want people to listen, all right? I want people to listen, but then if they jump in the middle of the pool without hearing everything in the back and they don't like it, I can't blame them, right? I can't blame them for not liking it if they just fucking leap in and go, I didn't care for that. But then they go and they review it. All right, here's the thing, folks. I received an email a couple of days ago that my podcast had been reviewed and I needed to check it out. So I was reviewed on a podcast about podcasts. Now, I said, all right, well, I'll listen to it. So I listened to the show, and I'll cut to the chase, folks. They didn't care for me. They didn't care for this show, which is fine, I suppose. And when I say they, that's unfair, because there were two hosts, okay, of this show, and one of them, she thought that I was funny. She mentioned that she thought I was funny, and then the guy goes, so you laughed? And she goes, yeah, I laughed. I thought he was funny. And then he goes, I didn't laugh once. And then he proceeded to kick the shit out of virtual me for the next, 5-6 minutes. And then they all right here, but here's my favorite part of it, okay? It's a podcast about podcasts, which first of all is navel gazing to its fucking nth degree. It's absolutely you might as well, it's like, because people who write about books and they're literally reviewing books, they're writing books about books. I fucking get a job, honestly. I don't, and I shouldn't even say get a job. I'm in a goddamn stripper's bedroom talking about nothing. I get that. I fucking get that. But to have a podcast about podcasts, it's just because that's where the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network was born, folks. Because I used to make fun of podcasts every chance I had about how ridiculous and ludicrous podcasts were. Because it was like, how can you be professional if you're trying to sit there and talk about, baseball and then a dog starts barking in the background? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. So the very fact that this was that they reviewed my show and they crushed it. Okay, they did not like my show. They didn't care for it. Again, not fair. The woman liked it until the guy didn't like it, and then she decided that she didn't like it. Okay. She thought I was funny. Didn't care much for my producer friend, Lily Von Stupp, who we all know and love. And that's fine. They all had things to say. Whatever. That's the way they do it. But my favorite part of their hating my show. Their show is fucking horrendous. It's two people talking on Skype, so there's 5-second breaks in between the two of them being able to have a conversation, and I can't even express to you how bad it was. It was everything I would parody in a podcast, and they did it to review podcasts. They created a podcast. It's two normal people. It's like a fucking postman and a grocery store worker who went, you know what? We got opinions. People should hear our opinions. No, they shouldn't. Nobody should hear your goddamn opinions. Because then not only did they kill me, but then they reviewed Comedy Death Ray Radio, and they killed that. Talked about how unfunny it was, and how, let's put it this way, Weird Al was a guest on the show that they listened to. They thought the show was going to be like Dr. Demento and play a lot of songs. That's how clueless. Here's how much they don't get it. All right, folks. Here's to the extent. Yeah, that's a pen. Here's to the extent how much they don't get it. They fucking listened to my show. The woman said she liked my show, thought it was hilarious, thought I was hilarious, did not care for other aspects. The guy did not laugh once and made a huge pronouncement of that and how he didn't like it. And again, he listened to one episode and then decided that I was terrible. So that's fine. But he then says, so you laughed, and she goes, you know what? It's funny because there's certain things I liked and I didn't like. He also had an ad for another show with two bouncers. And it was two bouncers, and they're telling stories about throwing guys out of the club. I think that would be a great show to listen to. It sounded really good. So I liked that. Hey, guess what? That's me. That's fucking me. I'm one of those guys, and it's a goof making fun of the fact that anybody could have a goddamn podcast. That's why I came up with the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network, because I made up a bunch of fucking shows nobody would ever fucking do, ever, in a million years, because they're awful. And yet she listened to it, and she heard the Velvet Rope podcast, which are hosted by Big James and Chewy, two very fantastic. They're wonderful guys. I like them. I hope you like them. But Big James and Chewy, they're good guys. I mean, I can't get around it. They're wonderful guys. But she heard that and said, you know what, that would be that's an interesting show. That sounded like something I'd like to hear. Really? Well, why don't you Google it? Go ahead and find Velvet Rope Podcast in the iTunes store, because Chewy and Big James are getting a following. I'm not going to lie to you folks. Chewy's been nice. He's helped me out with a few drops, and he's done stuff like that. Big James, though, kind of a dick. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care for Big James. He seems to be kind of mean. But Chewy, wonderful, wonderful man. That's how far out of it they were. Like, they listened to that episode, and they were like, oh, yeah. And again, I shouldn't care. Folks, I get that I shouldn't care. But at the same time, it's like you can't help but not care. When I get crucified, because even if they get 10 people who listen and go, oh, yeah, that show must have stunk. But again, you can't take it serious because they listen to Comedy Death Ray Radio. And she's like, yeah, I listened to one with the brothers. And he's like, which one is that? And she goes, the Scolari brothers. I think that was them. She goes, I don't think that's their name. But every time I hear their name, I thought of Peter Scolari from Bosom Buddies. And, but they were on, and it was really flat. It wasn't so. And I'm just like, oh, you're talking about Randy and Jason Sklar, two fucking hysterical comedians who have had several network television shots? Yeah, okay. I guess you can go ahead and say that they were flat. Woman who lives in Omaha, wherever the fuck you live, and you're talking to... And again, I shouldn't take her to task because she liked me. She actually liked me until fucknose got involved and went, I didn't laugh once. And then he's like, basically he convinces her that I suck. And then he goes, I'm just looking it up right here. Yeah, it says that Mike Schmidt, he's the host. He wrote for the shows Cheap Seats and Starface, which I've never heard of. And he also wrote for the award-winning video game Saints Row, which I've never heard of. But it says here that he was in the movie Basketball. I give that a thumbs up. But these other things, he's a comedian. It's just like stand-up comedy on the radio, and I guess you can listen to it if you want to. I just got to apologize for picking the show this week. Die, fucking die. You're going to actually Google me and read my resume off my website and go, which I've never heard of. Oh, really? Well, I guess since you're, Mr. Pop Culture who used to live in fucking Michigan and is now trying to do a podcast on Skype with some woman he met twice in his fucking life, we all need to listen to you and your fucking opinions of pop culture? Get fucking bombed. Are you kidding me? You fucking make a podcast to rip other fucking podcasts and you can't even do a good podcast? Why don't you get your fucking shit straightened out before you start going ahead and taking on everybody else in their goddamn fucking podcast? You come down on Comedy Death Ray Radio, the fucking premier comedy show in Los Angeles. Scott Aukerman used to write for Mr. Show. The guy mentions that. He goes, oh yeah, Scott Aukerman used to write for Mr. Show. Brilliant fucking show. David Cross and Bob Odenkirk. You should really listen to that. That's fantastic. But it doesn't translate to radio. You know, I was listening and I would have never... Fuck off. Seriously, fuck off. You're not even in the same fucking room as your broadcasting partner, and you're going to fucking take our shows apart? Get fucking bombed. Seriously. But I'm not going to talk about it, folks. I don't see any reason to lend any sort of credence or shine a spotlight on these folks because, you know what? Everybody's got opinions. I recognize that. I respect that. People have opinions. Even if they don't recognize the very thing that they're fucking ripping as the thing making fun of the thing that they're doing. Even if they don't understand the very fact that I would do a show and then have parody podcasts making fun of bad podcasts is a commentary. You know what? I was making fun of their fucking show before it fucking existed. Last year, I would make fun of. I go, well, wouldn't it be funny if a guy just ate and told you what he was eating? That's a podcast. That's how I was able to sign up the guys to be on the beverage podcast. That's how I came up with the beverage podcast. I said, this is a great idea for a show. Two guys pitched me. They approached me. I signed them up for the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. Boom. You got a show where guys are drinking fucking paint, gargling it, and other guys to guess what it is. Boom. Done. Because that's how easy it is to make a fucking podcast. It's so easy that these two fucking numbskulls couldn't do it right. It's so easy that they have to sit one in a living room and one, 900 miles away, and they talk to each other via computer. There's a part in this motherfucking show where he goes, they're talking about movies, and they're trying to have some quote-unquote banter about how great they are and what they're... check that. They're not talking about how great they are. They're just trying to basically come to grips with what they've done for the past few weeks. So they're going ahead and updating. She went and saw Transformers, and this is who we're dealing with. He reads... All right, he has a list of movies. She's talking about movies, and he's like, yeah, I haven't seen Transformers. There's so many fucking movies that I haven't seen yet. I got a huge list of shows, a list of movies. She goes, really? He goes, yeah. I downloaded movies. I don't even watch them. It's just another thing on the pile of shit that I'm never gonna do. You know what? I've got 30 Days of Night, 500 Miles to Graceland, and then I'm not lying to you, folks. I'm not lying to you. He spends 90 seconds at least reading movie titles. The movie titles on his computer in alphabetical order, starting with 30 Days of Night because it's a number, and then the A's, and then the B's. And I swear to God, I'm listening to this. I actually listened to this on my iPhone because I didn't have internet where I was last night, so I listened to it on my iPhone, and he starts to read the movies. He gets to the B's, and I go, ha! No! He's not going to run down the entire list alphabetically. You got to be fucking kidding me. Like, I practically got up and ran a lap. It was so fucking funny. I'm going, because they hadn't reviewed my show yet, okay? They hadn't gotten to my show, but I'm listening to all their fucking hokey bullshit in the beginning, hoping to get to a nugget of where they, maybe they like me. I'm not going to be honest, folks. Maybe they like me, and then I can plug them in a nice way on my show. But they haven't even gotten to my show. But let's put it this way. I knew in the first 5 minutes they were going to hate me. I knew just from what they were doing. Okay? Then he starts reading the movies. He gets to the B's. I laughed out loud. I go, oh, dude, they're going to hate me so much. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. And sure enough, man, he gets to like the F's or the G's. I mean, 90 seconds of movies he hasn't seen. Like, and that to me, honestly, that's a great show for the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. If you want to host a show for the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network, and we'll call it Unseen Cinema. And it will be you basically saying, hey, what's happening? How are you? And then you will run down a list of films you've never seen. Because God knows that makes for interesting radio. That makes... Nothing grips a listener more than listening to you relate to them the things you've never done. Because then they can live vicariously through you doing nothing as well. This guy's sitting here, he's reading movies he's never seen. And I could not stop laughing. I'm like, oh, they are going to hate me so much. I know they're going to hate me. And sure enough, man, they fucking hated me. Sure enough. The chick didn't hate me. The chick was like, oh, yeah, I kind of like the show. I thought he was hilarious. And again, there was other things she didn't care for. But then the guy jumps in, oh, I didn't laugh once. And the show that he listened to, he listened to I Hate the Hassle. He goes, he spent the entire episode talking about buying a car from his lease. And you know what the thing is? If you and I were telling that story, I would probably laugh. He said that to her. If you and I were telling that story, I would probably laugh because I would relate to like your agony and pain. But because he didn't know me, he couldn't relate to it. He couldn't understand, I guess, why a really funny guy would tell that story. Whereas if he talked to his dullard friend and she related it to him, he would think it was fucking hysterical. Fuck, why do I even do this fucking show? Seriously, folks, I don't fucking get it. There's no point. It's just me talking into fucking headphones for nobody. And then, look, I'm not like, please write me and tell me you like me. No, I don't fucking care. Because, again, my email runs about 15-1 in favor, okay? But inevitably, when I get reviewed, some guy reviewed me last year, and the show he listened to, again, completely out of context, dove in, listened to the Sadcast. Killed me. To his credit, listened the next week and wrote that the show was very funny. So thankfully, yes. But unfortunately, Technorati was the one, they picked up his death review of me. And that made it to a few places. Well, fine, who cares? But then this one, they're sponsored, who knows? They're a small podcast. Good luck to them. Okay? I know that there's because God knows we need more podcasts, and we certainly need podcasts to talk about podcasts because we don't get nearly enough of those. But I loved the fact that so he listened to I Hate the Hassle, and again, look, yeah, I was fucking enraged. Nobody listens to the fucking Elvis show, okay? Nobody listens to me at the strip club wrestling the chicken whipped cream. Nobody hears those fucking shows. No, somebody always has to hear the equivalent of the reading of the minutes of a town meeting regarding. Because let's be honest, I Hate the Hassle. I don't put out anything that I'm not proud of, but it was tending more toward anger than it was more toward humor because I was fucking furious. And I treat the show as a way where everybody who listens is always listening. I guess that's how I do it. I can't just come out and do a show pretending like I don't have an audience. I mean, I have people who listen. But at the same time, I can't make the show evergreen for people who don't listen. I don't know. I treat it like you fucking guys know who I am. And so when I do the show, I just figure, you know what? These people know who I am and where I'm coming from. But I got to remember, I'm trying to get new listeners. And when out of context new listener comes in and listens to me talk about my car, maybe he goes, fuck, I can't stand it. But then again, this fucking piece of shit, he wasn't going to like me no matter what. Again, he's never heard of me. He doesn't know anything that I've done. Fuck off. And they listen to Death Ray Radio, and they're just like, yeah, it was kind of flat. I just didn't care for it very much. I will say that the woman said that the sound of my show was excellent. Sound quality was excellent, folks. And I will also say there was another show that reviews podcasts, a podcast that reviews podcasts, and they loved me. I don't even know who they were, but there was a woman on there who said that she really liked my show. So that was kind of nice. I mean, because people will email me these things, and now I get these emails. I don't even want to open them. Quite frankly, people will send me emails and go, hey, you really should read this about your show. And then I read it, and someone's like, oh, this fat fuck should never speak again. Well, great. Thanks for shooting that my way. I don't fucking get it. So I got to be honest, man. This week was I was puzzled. I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. I was puzzled. I was like, should I even do this? And I mean, again, I'm not throwing it out to you to send me fucking pep talks because I get enough people who write me cool things, and I do realize that there's an audience. But you know what? When you get even. You could be getting 1,000 bouquets thrown your way, and then when the brick hits you in the head, you go, fuck, I got to get inside. It's just the way it works.
Did you know the 40-year-old boy once got his shoe tied by an armadillo?
Later on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network, it's The Velvet Rope. Join Big James and Chewy as they bring you the horror stories of bouncing at some of Hollywood's hottest nightclubs.
So this guy's there, and he keeps opening his mouth, right? He won't stop. I go, open your mouth one more fucking time. You know what I did? He fucking did. You know what I did?
I know what you did.
I put my fucking arm in up to the fucking elbow. That's what I did. I put it in there, and then his eyes get all big, and then I pull my arm out, and there's a fucking tooth in my wrist.
You'll think twice about paying that cover charge after you've heard The Velvet Rope on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
Fucking teeth.
A lot of anger today, folks. And not just today, every day. Let's be honest. I'm not happy. At least that's what I've heard. That's what I've been told. Although a lot of anger everywhere. Holy fuck! You ever see these healthcare town meetings where I watch a Daily Show and then you watch regular news and it's just old people shouting down congressmen, like standing up, waving their canes and freaking out about healthcare. And when did this whole nation turn into me? When did that happen? People who just fucking stand up and start yelling for no reason. I mean, sit the fuck down. I mean, they're trying to explain something. There's discourse happening here. If you would sit down, and the problem is, people are always saying that now there's death boards. Whatever. People are freaking out about the healthcare policy. Okay, and Fox News and a lot of other people have set the groundwork to where people are being misinformed about what's involved with the healthcare plan. And folks, by the way, let me preface this by saying I do not pretend to know what's in the healthcare plan. There might be death boards. I got no fucking idea. I quite frankly, if there are death boards, I'm all for it. I think we need to have tribunals where we decide who lives and dies. And, quite frankly, I've got a few names I'm going to put on that list. But anyway, I see these people freaking out about healthcare and the death boards. And they, they don't realize, it's old people standing up and screaming, I don't want to be euthanized. I don't want to be involved in these death boards. Why would you tell me that there's going to be forced euthanasia? And I want to tell these old people, you might want to sit down. Because you're making a pretty good case for euthanasia. I mean, if you want to make people want to kill old people, then stand up and start shouting in a public place. Because my brain immediately goes to, fuck, somebody's got to shut that old guy up. Hey, you know what would be a great way to do that? Fucking 2 injections and a gurney. Done. Enjoy your nap. I mean, I'm sorry. Again, there might not be death boards or euthanasia, but there is no greater argument for euthanasia than a group of old people shouting in a public square. Because honestly, at that point, I'm going to euthanize you with my running fucking car. Seriously. Everybody's going to sleep. Because I can't handle your spittle flying out of your mouth and the very threat of your jaw unhinging and your teeth coming out because you're old and your fucking bridge will come loose and go shooting off in the middle of your argument. Look, old people, calm down. Seriously. That's all I'm saying to you. And the thing is, the problem is you're trying to explain healthcare to old people. Dude, these people have VCRs that are still flashing 12. You think they're going to understand the nuances of fucking healthcare? They have no idea. They're still amazed that mail shows up in a box outside their house every day. Old people they think it's like magic. Like Jesus sent them postage. They got no fucking all they know is it's part of their death spiral. They get up at 4:30 in the morning. They have their coffee and toast. And they use the soft butter that they leave out overnight because, God forbid, they use the cold butter because it's going to hurt their non-existent teeth. It's going to hurt their gums somehow. They feel some sort of thing in their knee, which means it's going to rain later. Then they fucking throw a house coat on and they shuffle out to that magic box in front of their house. And it's filled with like messages from around the world. They have no idea how it happens. Old people are still fascinated by that concept. Don't try to explain healthcare to them, for God's sakes. Seriously. I mean, they're having a tough enough time as it is. I mean, I remember, my grandmother, after she got to be a certain age, she went to the same Chinese restaurant every day because she liked their egg foo young. That was it. And I fully believe that she didn't like their egg foo young. I fully believe she just was happy to know that was a constant in her life. She was like, you know what? I'm going to have egg foo young at 7 o'clock. That's it. And that's what old people are. They're regimented. They don't want any surprises, and they want all their answers. And so when you tell them you're going to mess with healthcare, you're going to mess with Medicare, and they try to understand it, forget about it. It opens up this huge can of fucking worms. And believe me, again, I'm not saying I'm for the healthcare plan. I don't know a fucking thing about the healthcare plan. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. My wife has healthcare through her job, and I'm lucky. That's it. I mean, I know that if I have a cold, I go see Dr. fucking Mulligatawny, whoever the fuck I go see, and then that's fine. Everything's taken care of. So I'm not in the boat that a lot of people are. I get that, but at the same fucking time, I don't know what people are upset about. What are things working now? That's the thing is people are always like, oh, Medicare's going bankrupt. You can't even handle that. You can't even handle cash for clunkers. Dude, it's all wrestling. It's wrestling. This is a bunch of people who are like, oh, the black guy's not going to tell me what to do. That's what these fucking people are. And I don't understand the anger in it. I don't understand the fucking rage behind it. And again, if I don't understand rage, then this is some really disassociative rage. I mean, there's just, because I don't know why you would get that worked up and that angry about that kind of, it just makes no sense to me. I don't know. Who the fuck am I? I get mad waiting in line for concessions because somebody's cut in front of me. There's nothing worse than that. When you're at the grocery store, and here's the thing, people are so used to incivility. They're so used to things like that happening. I was at Trader Joe's the other day, and I'm waiting, and I'm in line, and then there's another woman, and she is she was ahead of me, but went to a different line. So we were kind of in a race to see who was going to get help first. And then a guy opened right next to me, and he goes, "Sir, I can help you." And I walked over, and I go, "This woman's ahead of me." She's like 2 aisles down, okay? But I said, "You know what? She's actually ahead of me." And she comes walking over, and she looked at me like I gave her $1 million check. And literally, she's got nothing. She's got a thing of arugula and fucking Marcana almonds. She's got nothing. She got 3 things, but she will. Oh, I bet she even told somebody about me later, like, because she had this look on her face. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, thank you." And I go, "No, you were ahead of me, no problem." She's like, "Yes, but I was like," she wanted to talk about it now. It was like such a transitive moment in her life and in anybody's life when any weird small kindness, because we're so used to getting kicked in the balls all the fucking time that when anybody does anything at all that even smacks of selflessness or being nice, you want to hug them. I mean, you just want to hug them because everybody in the world is out to get fucking theirs and is willing to step all over everybody to get it. And so be nice, I guess, is what I'm saying. Am I saying that? I don't know. Oh, shut up. Yeah, be nice. After I eviscerated 2 unknown people who are just trying to start a podcast, that's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to get their feet under themselves as they do their new podcast and have their friends give them 5-star reviews. That's great for them. I think it's wonderful. They just want to break into the industry, the industry of podcasting, this huge lucrative industry where literally 3 people are making money. 3 people are making money from podcasting. Guess who's not one of them? Mike Schmidt. But because you know why? Because the reviews are bad. That's why. Because the reviews have come in from other podcasts condemning my podcast. God damn it. Oh, if only. I don't know. I guess I just can't hope to stay ahead of the curve, folks. I do what I do for whoever listens, and hopefully people listen. And you know what? Guess what? You don't like it? Don't fucking listen. Because it's a free show. All right. And unfortunately will remain so. Only because Cash for Clunkers was taken. Okay. That would have been a perfect name. That's a great name for a podcast. Cash for Clunkers. And then just put out shitty podcasts and charge for them. Folks.
We'll be back to the 40-year-old boy right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a phrase from the past of the 40-year-old boy, Mr. Tony Bennett.
So Elvis was like, let's form our own super friend.
I had to get gas today. I had to stop and get gas in my car. I don't know why I bring this up. I have a gas credit card. Now, of course, I'm sure most of you realize now that I'm bragging, but that's fine. I have a very, very important gas credit card. So I stop, and the reason I get the gas credit card is 2 reasons. 1, again, because I'm a big shot. 2, because I don't want to have to talk to the person in the plexiglass tomb about what kind of gas I need. I don't understand, how dangerous is it to be a gas station clerk that they have to wall themselves up in some sort of fucking crazy Dr. Phibes see-through bulletproof glass. I'm surprised they don't have gun turrets on the roof to lay down suppressing fire from the people who are there to make a fucking purchase. I don't get it. So that's why I got a gas station credit card. So I don't have to talk to them. So I go there today, and I fucking, sure enough, I put the credit card in, and it says, "Do you want a receipt?" "Yes, I want a receipt." "See cashier." Oh, fuck. I don't want to see cashier. But I'll tell you what, never has there been a phrase more apt, because that's all you can do is see cashier. You certainly can't talk to cashier because, again, he's locked in fucking human Tupperware and he's avoiding any sort of human contact or existence. Quite frankly, the only people who really like having the only people who look at that as a boon are people with highly communicable diseases, I think. They're happy about that because they can get a job and not have to worry about infecting the general public. Serious, if you got Hep C, the first thing you do is go apply at a fucking gas station because you're like, you know what, I'm walled off and I'm not going to have to worry about anybody catching what I got. And I can go ahead and collect money for people at 3 o'clock in the morning as they play charades and tell me they want Altoids. Because that's what it is. You're standing outside the window, you're just like waving and pointing, and you're like, Altoids are like, what? And you have to fucking, all of a sudden now I'm a mime walking against the wind because I want to get a pack of fucking gum at 3 in the morning? Jesus Christ. Lose the bulletproof glass. It's not that dangerous. You know who designed those? Old people. Old people like overkill. They freak out. They're like, you know what? Someone might come with a gun. Well, then what do? Well, I know what we do. We seal this person up like at the fucking Telltale Heart. We just completely wall them behind see-through glass. Old people. Why are you ruining everything for everybody? Old people should be all for forced euthanasia. They should be happy to do it. This is a service. That's it. Take off, folks. If you're old, bump yourself off. I don't know what. Then again, then who's going to determine what's old? 60? That seems young. 34? 43? Oh, you? You ready to check out? Oh, that's a bummer. That's Lily not talking about that. She was actually holding up a 4 and a 3. That's why I said 34, because she went 3, 4, and I'm like, 34? Oh, 43? And then she pointed at herself, and I got it. You know what? Literally, we just acted out me at the gas station. That's what it was. It was a microcosm of my experience at the fucking gas station when I had to go get a receipt. I'm pointing, she's holding up fingers, and I don't know what the fuck's happening. I'm just staring at her. She's looking, and finally, you might as well just backwards spray paint receipt on the goddamn glass so they know what the fuck you're looking for. And then there's nothing worse than people who look. I don't even want to deal with it. Again, that's why I have a Big Shot credit card, folks. But then when you have to stand in the line and then you have to deal with the great unwashed who are trying to get cigarettes and certain brands of cigarettes, it's like, dude, they're cigarettes. It's just literally just say, hey, give me some death. That's all you got to do. Say, give me some death and they'll hand it to you. They'll fucking slide out a pack and boom, smoke them up and die right there at the goddamn gas station. But no, fucking everybody's just freaking out. They're like, I know I want Marlboro Red, but I want like in a soft pack. Fuck that. Who cares? Who cares? You're going to smoke them all in an hour anyway. You obviously have no self-control if you're smoking. What do you care if it's a soft pack or a hard pack? They're going to be going immediately. Now get out of my way. I need to order 9 Butterfingers. I choose to kill myself deliciously, folks. Everybody else can kill themselves with like smoke and awful, but I choose to go in a very delicious way. I'm going to kill myself with that stuff. All right, so Rocky with the Blog is coming. By the way, I actually tried to write the entry I started, and then for some reason it didn't publish. So I had to call my web guy, and he's far across the country. When I have to deal with him, it's always a treat because there's a 3-hour time difference. So then I call, it's like literally, I call him like, hey, it's 9 by me. Oh, sorry, you're in bed. I'm like, I have no concept at all of time. It's my mom used to do that. She used to call me. My mom's in Chicago. My phone would ring at like 6 a.m. And my mom stays up late like me. So, I mean, she should realize that I'm pretty fucking crashed. And, part of me wanted to move to Hawaii and really fuck everything up, because they're like 2 hours ahead of Los Angeles. So, how did I even get in this subject? I don't fucking know. You know what? Kill me. 42 is the age. That's it. Fuck 43. You made it through. 42 done. Adios. Fucking kill me. Seriously. That's it. I'm finished at that point. And I'm. You know what? It's funny because Rocky with the Blog requires effort on my part, as we all know, and so I need to really come up with that effort. But then I start thinking, I always think I need discipline, like to make me do things. That's why I announced this to you guys, thinking that the pressure would. It's like when a woman buys a dress that's 2 sizes too small, and she goes, "Oh, I'll lose weight and fit into that." No, you won't ever. No, you just bought a chamois that looks really nice on a hanger. Because you're never going to fucking lose the weight to fit into that goddamn dress. And I'm the same way. Like, I thought if I made an announcement, it'd be like, oh, yeah, dude, you shame yourself into doing it by telling your adoring public that you're going to do it. And then I wind up taking another week to get started. And then, whatever. We all know what happened. But I'm going to do it. It's all happening. Rocky with the Blog is happening. But again, as soon as I get my web guy, on the horn. But I wind up thinking of ways, like I want to legislate everybody to make me do stuff. Like I don't want to make just an individual effort. Like I thought that if you get to be over 250 pounds, you can no longer own a car. Now hear me out. You shouldn't be allowed, because you should have to walk until you lost the weight, right? I mean, because that would be better for everybody. It wouldn't be better for everybody. It would be better for me because, again, it's like, but you just need to start walking because, and you don't lose your car forever. They just like impound your car, and there's no fee or there's no charge, but you need to lose weight. 250 pounds is the cutoff. I mean, we can all, 250 is a big guy, but it's not really unhealthy. I mean, it can be. I mean, you can be unhealthy at 150. Who the fuck am I kidding? But still, at 250, we'll call that the cutoff. And if you get to be over 250, boom, they take your car away. And now you got to walk everywhere until you get under a quarter of a ton. Once you get, or no, it's an eighth of a ton, right?
I don't know what a ton is.
Yeah, a ton is 2,000 pounds. So yeah, until you get back under an eighth of a ton, you don't get your car. You got to fucking walk all over the place. So I hope everybody who's over 250 pounds agrees with me that would be a good plan. Not that I have any power or stroke in this way. I mean, maybe I go to the healthcare meetings and I just start fucking screaming that at a town hall meeting. It's certainly not crazier than people thinking there are going to be government-run euthanasia boards. Look, folks, you're insane if you think there's going to be government-run euthanasia boards. Now, I have a suggestion. Hear me out. If you weigh over 250 pounds, we take away your car. Hold on. It's kind of like cash for clunkers. We're going to call it fitness for fat asses. So, why don't you folks buy some fucking running shoes and put away your forks? Oh, Lily wrote walking for whales. She said walking for whales. Yeah, that's probably, you know what, even as negative as whales is, probably better than fitness for fat asses. Although I still like the idea of that as being a program. Fitness for fat asses. You get over 250 pounds, we take away your fucking car. See, I don't think there's enough government regulation, folks. Everybody's like, oh, the government's getting involved in my business. Well, guess what? The government is coming to get more involved in your fucking business because you can't take care of your motherfucking business. I say this as a man who has no business to handle. I've got nothing. I'm not a guy. I don't care if the government gets involved. Dude, our sales tax out here is 10%. Do you fucking get that? Like, I got a bill the other day, and it was literally, you order something, it's like $35. Then your tax, you're like, oh my god, $350. What? That seems high. Schwarzenegger, you fuck. That's another thing. Is why do people blame that guy? Like, why do they blame the governor? There's like a million other people in the city, the state board. There's a million other people responsible. But unfortunately, I guess that buck stops here thing only comes into grips when you want to fucking blame somebody. All right. Like with this show, folks, you can blame me. You can say, "Oh, this show stinks. I didn't laugh once." But don't just blame me. I got to produce. If the producer is the one who, maybe she edited out all the funny that week. Maybe she left it all on the cutting room floor. I blame her, folks. Everything I do is gold. I pass it on to her. For anybody who wants to complain or bitch, go ahead and drop it right in the lap of my friend the burlesque dancer. She was too busy designing a feather fan or putting together a fucking a twirly top tassel. I don't know what the fuck. But then she left all the funny on the ground. All right. Fitness for fat asses. Look it up. I like it, folks. I think it's a good plan. I say that as a man over 250 pounds again, but also, what? Fuck people who are under 250 pounds who get pissed off at fat people. All right, never mind, forget it. I'm not going to get into that. Infuriating. But I got to do something. Get a fucking grip on it, folks. I got to get back on television. I got to get back into the spotlight. I was never in the fucking spotlight. I was on game shows. That's it. That's the extent of my television appearances. I was a big fat dude on Malcolm in the Middle, and then on game shows though, I got to be me, and I got to be funny. Oh, the worst. Oh, but dude, all right. Here's where being fat collided with glory. All right, so I was on. I did a game show when I first moved to town. I did a show called My Generation. It was a game show on VH1 where it was basically, like the 80s against the 70s against the 60s. Like, they would get contestants from certain eras, and I was from the 80s, of course. And they teamed me up with a woman named Randy, she was really cool. I could not have been cooler. And this is at a time I was pretty fat. I mean, I was like crazy fat. So I didn't know what I was going to wear. And they're like, well, you can't wear stripes. Well, look at me. Am I going to fucking wear stripes? Do you think I'm ever wearing stripes unless I'm in cartoon jail? Believe me, that's not fucking happening. So I do this game show, and I go on, and I went. First of all, you have to go in. You got to take a test. So, which always cracks me up because any test you take where one of the answers is Green Day, not really a test. They ask you some questions about pop culture, but they act like it's a fucking test, boy. You go in to fucking take a test. And I imagine Jeopardy's a lot different. I mean, Jeopardy probably seems like a fucking test. You got to walk in, and then you're there with a bunch of guys from India trying to answer questions, because it's every smart genius from the Ivy League. Everybody's wearing a tie. You're looking around going, I am out of my fucking league. Where's the Green Day test? So that's what I did. I tried out for My Generation, and again, they call it a test, and there's like a pencil, and number 2 pen. You got to fucking write your answers, and you got time limit, whatever the fuck. And I'm highly sought after by the game shows, folks, or at least I was for a while, because I was the proper mix. Let's put it, if I was good looking, I might have owned game shows, because I was the proper mix of really smart with a bunch of minutia, and really outgoing and willing to be funny, you know what I mean, and funny and had a personality. All of those things they love. They would have really loved it, like I said, if I was good looking, but they were willing to settle for fat guy who could do those things, I suppose. So I go on and I get on My Generation. I get the phone call. I'm all excited. The first thing you think when you're getting on a game show is, man, I am going to make a ton of money. You're like you don't even know, all you think about is winning big, because again, your reference point is Jeopardy, or your reference point is Wheel of Fortune, where you're going to bring home all this money. But then you don't realize there's all these other little game shows where their prizes are all trade out, which means that promotional considerations, like whenever you see somebody say promotional considerations paid for by the following, what that means is the people we're about to mention gave us all the prizes, so we would say their name at the end of the fucking show. So I did My Generation, and I go on set, and they team me up with this Randy person. She seems nice, and you have to sit in a bullpen, and you're waiting to see if you're going to actually make the show with certain shows. But this show, we knew we were taping, so we had a tape date. So we were going against 2 people from the 70s. Now, the host was a guy named Craig Shoemaker, who's a funny comedian and a very successful comedian, nice man. And I had actually opened for him like 10 years previous. Like he had no idea. And I didn't say it to him because I'm not going to tell him that, because then you don't want to say you have any sort of relationship with the host or a writer or anything, because they will boot you off the fucking show, because there can't exist any sort of impropriety. They can't, not even the appearance of the hint of impropriety. So I go on, basically we go on My Generation, and I wore all black because, I'm a big fat dude, folks. I lived in all black. So I wore like a black long sleeve mock turtleneck and fucking black pants, black boots. I was a trench coat away from going to Columbine. That's what I looked like. I looked like Dylan Klebold on to answer some questions about fucking Susie and the Banshees. So I'm wearing all black, and they freaked me out because when you have a game show, the guy reads a question to you, but what you don't see off camera is there's a board that tells you when to buzz in. And when a light comes on, that's when you can buzz in, okay? If you buzz in before the light comes on, you will be locked out. So you won't get an opportunity. That's why when you watch Jeopardy, you'll see Alex will finish the question, and all of a sudden you hear like people will start clicking immediately because the light bulb came on. And if you see somebody start quickly, you'll see that they don't get in. You're like, how the fuck didn't they get in? Well, because they locked themselves out by hitting their fucking buzzer too fast. Buzzer technology is actually job one on a game show. Whether you know everything, whether you're funny, whether you're interesting, learning the fucking buzzer, if I can tell you anything about getting on a game show, buzzer technology is job one on a fucking game show. So, because they actually bring you out for a little run through. They go, okay, when the light bulb hits, go ahead and buzz in. You do it. And they do it to make sure your buzzers are working, because I also guarantee you, inevitably, no matter what, during the taping of every single game show, someone on the contestants board, one of the contestants will go, hey, my buzzer's not working. No, it's working, asshat. We brought you out here and tested them. You're punching it too quickly, or you're not punching it quickly enough, or somebody is just better than you. By the way, that person who's better than you, hi, I'm Mike Schmidt. Because I was Captain fucking Buzzer Technology, folks. So we go out to My Generation, and we're out there to compete. And I got to tell you, folks, I'm nothing if not foolish. So I decided, they kind of, they want you to be, they want you to have personality, But I had a friend. All right, let's put it this way. I had a friend who one time tried out for Wheel of Fortune. She did very well on the test, and then she got to the point where she had to play a mock game. Like she actually got to spin the wheel and play this mock game, and it was the last, basically the last hurdle before she was to be picked to be on the show, and she refused to play along. She wouldn't clap with the wheel, and she wouldn't be like, come on, go, everybody. She wouldn't cheer, and she didn't get into it. And they actually stopped and asked her. They go, this is like you're on the show. So do it like you're on the show. Clap, and you're rooting for everybody. We're all rooting for everybody here. There are no winners and losers. We're all here to have a good time. Well, yeah, fuck that until, you buy a U and it's not there, and then somebody steals your $18,000, then you're fucking pissed. But if you ever watch Wheel of Fortune, people are like, yay, even though I'm losing, because they're supposed to. That's job two. Job two, after buzzer technology, is everybody's having a good time. So, my friend wouldn't play along, didn't get picked for the show. They told her thanks, but no thanks. Because it was more important to her to look cool than get on Wheel of Fortune, I suppose. And great, fine. Maybe you don't need, 50 grand or although at the time she tried out, I think there were still some prizes, like where you had to go shopping. So maybe she didn't want to have to buy, $1,000 worth of lawn furniture and some Toblerone. I mean, I have no idea. But whatever, regardless, she was a friend of mine who, she loved the game and she was really good at it, but she refused to play along, so they didn't put her on. So, because it's very important that you get the whole package. Because there are people who are contestant coordinators, folks, who it is their job to give you contestants that are good and funny and interesting and will play the game well, because otherwise you don't have a fucking show. I mean, you can't rely on the host the whole time. So anyway, my generation, we get out there and, again, I'm contestant coordinator gold, other than the fact that I'm, larger than the set itself. But we get out there, Randy and I start playing, and we fucking destroy the team from the 70s. Like they're these two, they come off like two doddering old men. Like they don't know how to work the buzzers and they can't answer the questions. And because I might be the 80s guy, but I know everything about the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 90s. Whatever the fuck they're going to ask me, I'm going to know it. And Randy, basically, she's really good and she knows her stuff, but she goes along for the ride. She just leaps onto my shoulders and we fucking destroy these idiots. I mean, we call them out. We're stealing answers. I to the point where you can see they fucking hate me. Like there's finally, we stop for the first break. And they immediately call for help. They're like, guys, our buzzer's not working. And I'm like, no, your buzzer's working. You're just in a buzzer holocaust right now because I am fucking destroying you. And like the fucking crew loves me. They think I'm hysterical because I'm talking shit to the 270s guys. Like I'm just a dick on the set because it's funny to me. I think it's hilarious. If you're going to do it, why not do it? Okay, if I'm on a fucking game show, why not do it? If I'm going to answer fucking trivia questions about Cheap Trick, I'm going to have fun doing it. So we crush these guys. I mean, we absolutely fucking destroy them. So we get into the final round. The final round, I have to describe, basically one person has to describe videos to another person. I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't know if I think I described them to Randy and she had to guess what they were, or she had to describe them to me. I don't fucking know. But the bottom line is we get out there in the middle, and I'm fat. I mean, I'm really huge. But I'm. It doesn't matter because I'm winning. I'm feeling great about it. So we go and we do the final round, and there's a break. As they remove the corpses of the two guys from the 70s after I've beaten them to death trivia wise. They take them off, and they have to reposition us into the center of the floor. And Craig Shoemaker comes up, and the producers come up, and I will tell you another thing about game shows. They do want you to win. They want you to win because it's better for their show. People watch it. They feel good about the fact that somebody took home especially these little shows. I mean, Millionaire, maybe they don't want you to win because there's tension and, the show makes itself. The tension makes the show. But on my show, I mean, literally, I thought I was going to bring home $1 billion. You know what we won? A trip for two to Vegas if we were to win. That's a trip for two to Vegas from Los Angeles, folks. And it was 3 nights at the Hard Rock. And then like T-shirts or rice-a-roni, some bullshit. I don't fucking know. All I know is I wasn't fucking gonna get rich off of my generation. So we go out to the center, and the producer comes up and he's like, "Wow, you killed those guys." He's like, "All right, we really want you to win here. We're really rooting for you." And I'm like, "Okay, great." So we go out there, and either I got to describe the video. I don't remember what happened. But suffice it to say, we killed it. I mean, we won, like we had a 60-second time limit. I think we won in 30 seconds, maybe 25. I mean, it was just because I blam, and we went crazy. You know, Randy jumps in my arms, and we're, yeah, I'm all excited, and everybody's happy. Woo, bells and whistles and confetti, and yay. And I got to fill out all this paperwork, and they hustle you into the back, and I'm just so thrilled with winning. I'm happy we won. I thought it was funny. Everything's cool. And they're like, oh, it airs in, a few months. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm so excited. I tell people that I won, and we're looking forward to using the trip. And a couple months down the line, the show premieres. And it's my generation. I'm actually in the commercials. Like, they use me in the bumpers because, you just see me killing people. It's great. And I'm all excited. And I get ready to watch the show. And Karen, I'm like, oh, Karen, we're going to watch the show. It's going to be fun. We set up the VCR because, again, folks, 1,000,000 years ago. So we set up the VCR to tape my generation. I'm very excited. And Randy and I become friends. We're exchanging emails. Oh, are you excited? I'm excited. Woohoo, this is great. Hey, are we taking our Vegas trip together? Not that good of friends. All right, I'm sorry, I have weird forward email. All right, so that didn't really happen. That would have been funny. Hey, Randy, you want to take the trip together? No, odd. All right, so I sit down to watch the show, and it's fucking hysterical. I'm killing these guys, and it's just as funny as it was live, and it's making me laugh. And Karen's just like, wow, you did kill those guys. I'm like, yeah, I killed those guys. And we get to the final round. You see us in the middle, and we wind up huge win. And it's like bang, 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 the buzzers and stuff. And folks, the buzzers go off. You see, I'm watching the show. I'm at home. I'm sitting on the couch watching it, and I get the final answer. And I will tell you this: when the final answer happened, I went bang. I actually yelled it, like on set, like I said it, and she said the final answer, and I went bang, and I went yeah, and I threw my arms in the air. Folks, let me tell you about Fat Guy. Fat Guy shouldn't put his arms in the air ever. Because when you're fat, in the areas where I am fat and was really fat, there's a tendency for clothes to not fit the way they should. So my huge triumph on VH1, you see me, I just fucking like a buzzsaw through the 70s, guys. I go, Craig Shoemaker, ha, we're good friends. I love you. Randy, my new good friend. Oh, we're killing everybody. Let's get to the final round. Boom, boom, boom. We get it. Bang. My hands go in the air. My black mock turtleneck goes up into the air. And my huge fat gut is exposed on my generation. I had no idea, folks. I was so consumed with victory. I was drunk with the power of a man who knows everything there is to know about the blow monkeys. I'm a man who was surfing the wave of the knowledge that I consumed about the Beach Boys. Folks, I was a man who knew everything there was to know about Glass Tiger, and yet, in the midst of my greatest triumph, my most humiliating defeat, as my huge gut oh Christ, I lifted my arms in the air in triumph, and my shirt ran for the ceiling. My shirt's like, all right, we're doing this now? My arms go up. My shirts are like, all right, we've done as much as we can, holding in this huge barrel-sized gut this entire time. But if you want to give us a minute or two off, we'll take it. Whoomp. Shirt goes up. Gigantic gut. I mean, just huge. Folks, when you're that fat, there's actually a word for it, sadly. It's no longer a gut. Doctors call it an apron. And that's true. They'll say because it's like that's your fat because it hangs, so they call it an apron. And folks, let me tell you, I showed more apron than any television sitcom mom had ever shown in the history of the medium. It was you could take fucking Hazel and Alice and Miss and fucking June Cleaver and put them all together, and those aprons don't equal the fucking horrible glimpse of apron provided for the viewers of VH1's My Generation. And I looked, and it's so funny. I saw it, okay, and I went, oh no, like what? And Karen's like, yeah, you won, and I'm like, no, did you see that? She's like, what? And I go, oh my God, rewind it. And she goes, what? It's airing live. Like, we can't rewind it because, again, before TiVo, folks. And I'm like, we have to destroy that tape. She's like, what do you mean? I go, oh, honey, don't. And meanwhile, there's me smiling. on waving on the television. Ha ha! Big victory for me. Oh, and I should tell you this. Like I said, I started to tell you buzzer technology, and they got in my head because they said there was a board that I would have to see kind of across the studio to tell me when to ring in and all that. So I actually wore glasses on the show because I didn't have contacts at the time. I had actual glasses, and I wore them. So I'm like, fat guy. I look like the fattest smart guy in the world. Because I wore black mock turtleneck and I had these glasses on. Well, it's interesting that you would pose that question about Barry Manilow. I was just thinking the other day. I look like some Ivy League nerd who's got to tell you everything there is to tell you about Go West. I mean, it just made no sense whatsoever. The fattest smart guy in the world. So, but sure enough, I'm wearing my glasses, and that's what made the revealing of the apron even worse. Because then, I wore my glasses. Again, when you're fat, you become feminized. I've told you this a million times, because you lose your jawline and stuff. You get kind of like a fleshy, doughy face, and you look like a giant baby. But also, you lose any sort of manly traits or that you would have, which probably explains why I've had a goatee for the past 10 fucking years. You know what I mean? It's like I can't bear to shave it because then I look like Rush Limbaugh's kid. But it's like sadly true. Completely true. If you look at the cover of one of his books and you look at me and then if I smile, I do look like the man. That's the worst part. It's not even like a joke. But yeah, sure enough, the tape ends and I rewind immediately. Karen's like, "Oh, that's great." I go, "No, you got to see this." So I rewind it and of course I do it in slow motion. I literally watch. All right, here's me winning, and yay! And then watch, here's my arms. It's like, don't do it! And you just see my shirt creeping up, and then you just see apron lurking. Oh my God, it was so fucking horrible. Horrible. I couldn't, I didn't want to take the trip. I wanted to call VH1 and tell them to never show it again. Oh my God, it's such death. It is, if you ever unfortunately stumble upon it, you will be horrified. And again, I should tell you, it might last a half a second. Literally. A second or a half a second, but to me, they might as well have called it My Generation's Apron, starring Mike Schmidt and his huge gut. And in parentheses, we know he's too fat to call it a gut. Literally, that's what it would be. So I won, and yet I lost. You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can get me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Although I don't know how much longer MySpace is going to be around, but I'll be there to the grim end. You can get me at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. And as always, that's the number 40. You can follow me at Twitter at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. And you can find Lily Von Stupp at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. Or you can get her at Burlesque411. That's Lili Lily at Burlesque411.com. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, host of the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, which you're listening to right now. Wanted to tell you about Skull Pie t-shirts and year one download sets available now for your college student or for your toddler or your preteen. Any children that are going back to school would appreciate this as a gift. So go ahead and pick up a Skull Pie t-shirt. These are available at MikeSchmidtComedy.com, or get a year one download set, also available at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Lily's laughing, and she won't laugh out loud, so it's throwing me off. It's a little strange. So go ahead and pick up year one download sets and Skull Pie t-shirts for yourself, for your college student, again, for any child that you might have, any child you might know about. I know my audience tends to get around. I am dumb. All right, so go ahead and pick up a year one download set, pick up a Skull Pie t-shirt, all from the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. That's right, the 40-Year-Old Boy. 52 episodes, $25, one brutally funny podcast. Folks, don't forget that the Monday Night Tease is also every single week at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. That's the burlesque show, the Monday Night Tease, every Monday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Anything special coming up this week, Lily?
Me.
Lily Von Stupp, you're stripping?
I'm hosting.
Oh, she's hosting. Like I said, I said something special. All right, so, don't make a sad face. So go see Lily, and she'll do all of her corn pone jokes and spray seltzer in her pants. She is, she hosts the show, and then she does, knock-knock jokes and stuff. And it's so funny. She's always like, "Oh, Mike, I want you to host." I'm like, why? They like when you host. They don't want. They like when you go out and do knock-knock jokes. Why would they want me to come and do my nonsense? But for some reason, she still asks. But go to the Monday Night Tease at 3 clubs. Who's taking it off this week? Anybody good? Jolie Blonde will be there, folks. So go look her up on MySpace and imagine what her nipples might look like.
The
All
only
right.
one I can think of.
That's fine.
terrible.
No. They can go to burlesque411.com for all the information, or they go to, is there a MondayNightTees.com?
MondayNightTees.com.
Go to MondayNightTees.com. Please go, folks, because burlesque, they need a crowd. Burlesque is a spectator sport. They, if you're doing burlesque in an empty room, if a stripper strips in the middle of the forest and no one's there to hear it, do you still get to see her nipples? No, of course not. So please, go to the burlesque show. It's a spectator sport. It's like any sport. It's like your basketball, your football. You need people. You need asses in the seats for it to work. Have you ever been to a baseball game that only had like a couple thousand people? Oh, it's awful. Although it's fun to heckle with nobody there, because then you're heard loudly throughout the park. I love sports, folks, but I got to be honest. Sports is a fucking cesspool. I mean, it is like, and people aren't surprised by it. Like, and there literally nothing surprises anymore in sports. Like steroids happens, everybody's like, yeah, that happens, which is fine. There are moralists who wind up clucking their tongues and getting upset about steroids, and yet the basketball coach for Louisville, Rick Pitino, it turns out he gave a woman $3,000 for an abortion this week. And everybody's just like, oh, yeah, that happened. No, that didn't just fucking happen. Jesus Christ, he's the coach of a major college basketball program, and he fucking gave this chick $3,000 for an abortion, and nobody, like, literally on the same page, people are like, gee, I wonder if Michael Vick should still get a job in the NFL. Michael Vick killed dogs. He didn't kill a fucking baby. Michael Vick killed dogs, and you're telling me that I don't think he should be back in the NFL, but Rick Pitino is going to get a fucking pass for killing a baby? Are you shitting me? And just for the sordid fucking story behind it, Rick Pitino was the coach of Louisville, and then he was in a restaurant, and it's so funny, when you hear these stories, you're like, how did this ever happen? He was in a restaurant with this chick, and she came up and she's like, hey, my sons want to go to school, and it would really be cool if you talked to them. So he borrowed her cell phone, and he called the kids and gave them a pep talk. And then later on, everybody left the restaurant except for Rick and this chick, and he boned this chick in the restaurant. Okay, first of all, how does the restaurant crew leave and go, all right, are we all squared away? Everything put away into the... Yeah, no problem. Hey, do me a favor. Coach Pitino, could you lock up when you're finished banging the stripper on the floor? Look, I understand athletes are privileged and they can do whatever the fuck that they want to do, and that's great. Good for them. But it just seems odd that a guy who owns a restaurant would go, hey, do me a favor, Rick. Lock up when you're done banging the bottom out of that fucking bottle blonde, okay? How does that sound? So then he fucking works this chick in the restaurant, and afterwards she tries to extort him for like $10 million and all this money, and then he reports it to the police. But then it turns out he tells them that he had consensual sex and that he gave her $3,000 for an abortion. Folks, regardless of how you feel about abortion, whether you're for it or against it, whether you think it's a woman's choice or you think it's a man's prerogative, whatever the fuck you think about abortion, folks, I think we can all agree that we don't want our college basketball coaches passing them out like Gatorade and fucking towels. Can you agree with me on that? And the fact that he gave her $3,000 for an abortion, she's like, hey, I'm pregnant. He's like, oh, well, what are you going to do here? And she's like, well, I think I'm going to get an abortion. He's like, well, how much would that cost? She goes, $3,000. He gives her $3,000 for the abortion. I dream of having the success of a Rick Pitino where I can just throw $3,000 in an abortion and be done with it. Because right now, if I had $3,000, folks, I would strangle it to death. Literally, like the presidents on the bills they'd die again from how badly I was squeezing them, holding on to that fucking cash. Yet this guy's just throwing around $3,000 abortion cash like it's tip money. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Park my car, shine my shoes, kill that baby. Here's some money for everybody. You gotta be fucking kidding me. And yet the guy keeps his job, and everybody's just like, oh, well, she's a gold digger. Well, there was digging involved, but I don't think there was any gold to be seen. Unbelievable. Sports is a goddamn cesspool, folks. I gotta hear that Michael Vick might not get a job, but Pitino's going to keep his job. And then today I read that there was a morals clause. No, wait, even better. He bangs this chick on the floor of the restaurant. His assistant coach was there and heard it. They said that, I still don't get it. He was either sleeping on the other side of the bar or he was in another booth or something and he heard them fucking and didn't leave. Like, just fucking, I don't know if he's just got Pitino's back or, again, he is an assistant coach. Maybe he gets to handle the defense later. Maybe Pitino finishes and goes, hey, you know what? I got to go do a press conference. You go ahead and finish the rest of this. And the guy just steps in, like running a practice. Pitino bangs her for a while and goes, you know what? You come in, finish this up. And then he steps in. Either way, he got to testify to the cops. He's like, yeah, I heard two people enjoying consensual sex. It sounded like they were having a good time. And I want to go, what the fuck were you doing there, dude? Take a powder. If you're, I understand, bros before hoes, and you got your boys back. But if your boy's sealing the deal, it's okay to take off. Even if you're his ride, even if you're the guy there to give him a ride home, once he starts getting laid, make him take a fucking cab. It's the least he could do. Unbelievable. Yet I got to be told over and over that Michael Vick can't go ahead and get another fucking job because he killed dogs. And by the way, I'm not in favor of Michael Vick. Okay, if he wants to get another job or somebody wants to hire him, that's fine too. But again, a very important delineation. He killed dogs. He didn't kill a fucking baby. All right, so I think we can all agree. Maybe, you know what? Maybe Michael Vick gets a coaching job. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he can't play again, but sure, maybe his long history of going ahead and smashing dogs into concrete because they weren't well enough to fight anymore, maybe that gets him a coaching job, because apparently the coaching fraternity is going to go ahead and turn their back on any fucking transgression you pull as long as you're part of it. As long as you're an upstanding dues-paying member and, oh, by the way, successful member of the coaching fraternity, then by all means, go ahead and rape some chick or fucking knock her ass out or pay for her abortion. Doesn't matter to us. We're going to look the other fucking way. Oh, and you want to kill dogs? That's fine too. Go ahead and take care of that. We're all for it. As long as something's dying, you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as your program is fucking above 500. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.